bring the regular meeting for the purpose of a public hearing to order. And the first thing I need to do prior to starting the meeting is read the preamble. A public hearing is a statutory requirement.
Oh, I can't hear.
Jasmine, come here, please.
Okay, we'll get the Davises sorted out. Okay, I'll start over again. Where was I? A public hearing is a statutory requirement under Section 464 of the Local Government Act. It must be held before third reading of a community plan, rural land use bylaw, zoning bylaw, land use contract amendment bylaw, heritage designation bylaw, or heritage revitalization agreement bylaw, which would change the use or density of use of property. During a public hearing, council acts in a quasi-judicial role for the purpose of allowing persons who believe their interest in property is affected by a bylaw, permit, or other matter to make representations to council, either orally or by written submission, or add comments or elaborate upon correspondence that may have already been presented to council concerning the bylaws. It is important to note that council is not in a position to receive any additional information on the bylaws following the public hearing as dictated by case law. The hearing procedure involves an explanation from the Community Development Division on the purpose of the proposed bylaws and to hear from individuals regarding the bylaws. In order to ensure that all interested parties have a reasonable opportunity to be heard, speakers are requested to keep representations as brief and succinct as possible and no longer than 5 minutes, excluding time required for questions from council. Speakers will be asked to state their name, neighborhood, and city for the record, and if referring to prepared remarks, to submit copies of these to the township clerk. Decorum must be maintained at all times. This includes refraining from applause, booing, or heckling. To assist with large numbers of speakers, individuals may advise the township clerk and sign the speakers list prior to the commencement of the public hearing. The names on the speakers list will be read out during the hearing. However, the chair will also call for any other speakers wishing to present their views once the speakers on the list have all been heard. Individuals who have not already addressed council and wish to add further submissions will wait until the people that have not yet addressed council have had an opportunity to speak. All submissions and speakers lists are considered part of the public record. Council members should not express their views nor debate the bylaws, but may question speakers to clarify particular points in the submissions. Council may consider third reading or third and final adoption at this meeting or at its next regular meeting to be held on Monday, January the 25th, 2021 at the Fraser River Presentation Theatre on the 4th floor of 20338 65 Avenue, Langley, BC. So with that, I would ask for a motion to receive the agenda items.
So moved. Second.
Okay, Councillor Davis moves, Councillor Arneson second. And call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? And it carries. Thank you. So now there are no development permits tonight. We move directly into the public hearing. C1 is official community plan amendment and rezoning application number 100193 and development permit application number 101154, Christian Life Assembly, Bylaw 5673, Bylaw 5674, and Bylaw 5675. Mr. Seffi. Is it Mr. Richardson or Mr. Seffi tonight?
Mr. Richardson, your worship.
Okay, thank you. I'll let you go ahead.
With your permission, I'll share the screen.
Yes.
So thank you, your worship. The subject Murrayville Community Plan Amendment, rezoning and development permit applications pertain to a development proposal consisting of one 5-story building accommodating 98 rental apartment units, including 69 affordable units at 21277 56th Avenue. The 2.94 acre site is designated institutional and conservation in the Murrayville Community Plan. This air photo depicts the site located on the north side of 56th Avenue, east of 211th Street. Proposed Murrayville Community Plan Amendment Bylaw 5673 designates the site multifamily 2 at a density of 34 units per acre. Rezoning Bylaw 5674 rezones the subject lands from Suburban Residential Zone SR1 and Civic Institutional Zone P1 to Comprehensive Development Zone 156 to accommodate the proposal. Housing Agreement Bylaw 5675 secures rental tenancy for the 98 proposed units, with 69 or 70% of those units being affordable pursuant to the township's development cost charge waiver for affordable and supportive housing bylaw. This slide indicates the proposed site plan. Next series of slides are renderings, elevations, and landscape plans as indicated in development permit 101154. Staff recommends support of Murrayville Community Plan Amendment, Rezoning and Housing Development Agreement Bylaws 5673, 5674, and 5675, subject to 7 conditions, and issuance of development permit 101154, subject to 7 conditions, listed on page 52 of Council's agenda. Your Worship, total of 696 notices were mailed out, 6 written submissions have been received, and there were no individuals noted on the speakers list.
Thank you. Thank you for that. So, Ms. Bauer, are there any speakers for the public waiting and to speak?
The recent health order precludes people from coming to the civic facility for the meeting. We advertised for individuals to contact us in order to obtain the Zoom link in order to join in the meeting, and we had no contacts.
Okay, thank you. So I understand the proponent is here, and I will ask, I see Councillor Richter has her hand up. Did you have a question, Councillor Richter? Because I'm going to ask the proponent if they wish to speak.
Yes, actually I do, and it pertains to, we did get 2 items in our items distributed today, items number 3 and 4 on pages 5 and 6,
Yeah.
and it raises a question around the pond security. So I know this hasn't come up because we haven't had any verbal submissions, but I was wondering if the proponent is going to speak, if they could address the issue of what will be done to make the pond area secure for safety reasons. Will it be fenced off in light of there being the potential for children?
Okay, so sounds fair. And so there are no further speakers from the public, and thank you for bringing that public submission forward. I'll ask the proponent if they wish to speak and respond to the request of Councillor Richter and the public.
Well, thank you, Mayor Froese. I'm Peter Fassbender, and I'm the president of the CLA Housing Society Board. And with me tonight are Casey Clerkson, who is from CPA Developments, our project manager, who has been taking us through this process to date. And also I have Stephen Bartok and Lucas Wickus from Keystone Architecture, in case there are any other questions that they might be able to answer. I wanted to let Council know, and you are probably aware, that we held a virtual town hall meeting, which we advertised for 2 weeks back in November. And we also distributed leaflets to all of the surrounding residential stratas and individual single-family homes. We had the town hall. It was very good. We had some questions. And with respect to the 2 submissions that came, or that I saw on the issue of safety around the pond, I should let Council know that that pond has been there, as you know, probably for the entire time the property has been part of CLA, which goes well over 46 years ago now. As you know, we have a daycare and a preschool at CLA. We also have had a number, of course, Sunday schools when we could meet in person. And over the years, we have never had an issue at the pond as a result of anyone being, challenged by the water being on the site. However, we are going to be putting up perimeter fencing around our project as part of the overall landscaping plan. And as you know, the property also backs onto the township trail system and the Nickelmeckle Creek that runs behind the property, and all of the required setbacks, of course, have been taken. I do want to say that we've worked very closely with township staff on the project to date, and appreciate all of the input that we've had. and look forward to any other questions that members of council would have.
Thank you for that. I don't see any further questions from council, so appreciate your response.
Actually, Mr. Mayor, I do have another
Okay,
question.
I didn't see your
It's
hand. Yeah,
all
go
right.
ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, one of the questions that was also raised in the letters that council received has to do with the wildlife around the pond, and the person that wrote this letter is a resident of Sharon Village and indicates that they sincerely hope that the wildlife will not be jeopardized as a result of constructing the apartment at this location. So I'm just wondering, will it continue to be a natural area that will attract wildlife for the residents to enjoy?
Well, Mr. Mayor, if I can, to Councillor Richter, indeed, as you see on the map, we are protecting all of the riparian areas that exist. We've done an extensive environmental study of the site. We are protecting as many of the trees on the site as we can. And if you have had the opportunity, there are no old growth trees on the actual building site or the parking site around the building. We will be actually integrating more trees and landscaping to enhance the overall site itself, and we think will help to encourage wildlife and birds to be protected. And we also, and I know there was one question that was asked about the security of the people living in Sharon Village, and as you can see, we're protecting all the trees which block their units. But I should point out that none of the units in the building face to the north or the south, quite honestly. They're all east-west facing, so there will not be any issues from Sharon Village residents' point of view on the site.
Thank you very much. All right, I don't see any further questions from council. Council Richter, your hand is up. Do you have something else?
No, I thought I was taking it down,
okay.
sorry.
Okay, great. So with that, I will close public hearing C1. And just for those who are watching, at the end of the public hearing, all the public hearings, we do have a process where I will ask council if they wish to proceed with third reading tonight. So you may want to stay, and that'll be up to council, but we'll do that at the end. So now we'll move on to C2, and that's a hospital parking requirement bylaw 5646. Mr. Richardson.
Thank you, Worship. Bylaw 5646 proposes amendments to the Township zoning bylaw for the purposes of establishing a specific requirement for parking associated with a hospital use of one stall per 41 square meters or 441 square feet versus the current generically established institutional use of one parking stall for 28 square meters or 301 square feet. Staff recommends support of bylaw 5646 as noted on page 3 of council's agenda. Notice of this public hearing was advertised in local newspapers December 31st and January 7th in compliance with provincial legislation and township bylaw. No written submissions have been received, and there were no individuals noted on the speakers list.
Thank you very much. So with that, there are no public submissions, and I guess we are the proponent. So with that, I'll close C2, and we'll move on to C3. And that is the non-medical cannabis retail sales development applications, group 2, bylaw number 5666, and this relates to the location at 6225 200th Street. Mr. Richardson.
Thank you, Worship. The subject land use contract amendment bylaw pertains to proposed non-medical retail cannabis use in an existing building on a portion of property at 6225 200th Street. The overall 7.8 acre site is designated regional commercial in the Willowbrook Community Plan and regulated by Land Use Contract 76. This air photo depicts the subject site located at the northwest corner, 200th Street and 62nd Avenue. Bylaw 5666 amends Land Use Contract 76 to add a cannabis retail use in the subject existing building on a site-specific basis. Staff recommend council consider Land Use Contract Amendment Bylaw 5666. Your Worship, a total of 590 notices were mailed out, 5 written submissions have been received, and there were no individuals noted on the speakers list.
Thank you. So I take it there are no individuals here to speak to it. We have the written submissions. Does the proponent wish to respond to any of the written submissions? Is the proponent here, Ms. Bauer?
Yes, the proponent is here. Mr. McEwen? I can see that he is here, and I can see he's not muted, but unfortunately I don't hear him.
Okay. Let's give him a minute. If he can hear us, if he can indicate thumbs up or thumbs down, if he wants, then I can move on. If I know he's just having technical difficulties, we'll certainly give him all the opportunity. I can't see. I don't have that. Screen is blocked by the presentation. Ms. Bauer, has he indicated that he wishes to speak?
No, sir, I don't see anything that indicates that.
Okay, then I'll take it that does not wish to respond to the written submissions. And with that, I'll close public hearing C3. Now, as part of our procedure bylaw, we can consider third reading at the public hearing. Requires a 2/3 vote. There's no discussion. We can go through each one. I would like to add at C3, the process that we've used for the cannabis retail sales. If we do nothing with it tonight, it falls to the group that's already moved forward. So we could leave it tonight without dealing with it, but that's up to council. So I'm going to start with C1 and ask if there's a motion to proceed to third reading.
Mr. Mayor, I'll move that motion.
Thank you. It's been moved by Councillor Richter, second by Councillor Whitmarsh. So now just the vote on whether to proceed or not. So I'm going to call the question. All those in favor? And opposed? Or any opposed? So that carries unanimously. So now move to third reading of C1. Could I have a motion for third reading for C1? Moved by Councillor Whitmarsh, second by Councillor Davis. Any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Any opposed? I see none opposed. It carries unanimously. Third reading is passed on C1. Now move on to C2. This is the hospital parking requirement, bylaw number 5646. Again, this will be going forward for third and final reading. So I'll ask if there's a motion to proceed to third and final reading. Councillor Arneson moves it. Councillor Davis seconds it. I'll call the question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? None opposed. So that carries. Now I need a motion to put C2 on the table for third and final reading.
So
Councillor
moved.
Davis moves it. Councillor Whitmarsh seconds it. Any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? It carries unanimously. Thank you very much. And again, as I mentioned, C3, I will follow the process if someone wishes to put it on, but we can leave it and it just falls to the group that we've already moved forward. So, Councillor Richter.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, my preference is to leave it and let it fall to the group that's going, or it will be coming forward in the next group of ones, correct?
I believe so. I'll ask Ms. Bauer. Ms. Bauer, is this the final one of the cannabis retail sales? Unless, of course, there's others that come back.
It would, for the most part, it's the final one. There is one that is behind because it did not get its signs up, the one from earlier this afternoon, but this would be the final group that I'm aware of. Okay, great. So we can just leave it and then that would still fall to that.
Okay, so Mr. Mayor, just as a point of clarification, if we just push forward to the third reading, we're not automatically approving the change in the land use contract or the fact that there will be a cannabis location there until we actually have a vote? Is that?
That's right. That's right. So this would go to third reading at the next meeting.
Okay. And my second question is, if in the way we're going to handle it, if council chooses not to pursue this particular application for cannabis, do we still have to vote on the land use contract?
Last staff on that, I believe we would put third reading, the bylaw is the one bylaw on the table. And if that passed, then that would be third reading, but maybe staff can help out with that. Ms. Bauer or Mr. Richardson.
Your Worship, Mr. Richardson here. The bylaw, as you mentioned, would proceed to the next available meeting, as you've indicated, would be on the 25th. If the bylaw did not receive council support, the bylaw would simply just have proceeded to second reading. And as Councilor Richter noted, the bylaw would not therefore amend the land use contract. So the existing land use contract would prevail, there'd be no amendment to it, and the bylaw would simply, for lack of a better terminology, die at that point.
Okay, so I just want to make sure that we're not going to be passing a change in the land use if we don't go ahead with that actual application.
That's right. We wouldn't. It would fall off.
Okay.
Thank
Thank you for that clarification.
Thank you, Councilor Whitmarsh.
Yeah, I just for understanding, I understood that in the last ones we did have to have a referral motion. Do we not need a referral motion in this case?
No, because in my preamble I said it would be heard on the 25th. So if we don't do anything, it automatically moves.
It's
a public
automatic.
hearing.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've lost Desmond and Gavin, just so you, or Desmond alone.
Okay, so with that, I'll ask for a motion to terminate.
Termination.
Councilor Whitmarsh calls termination. Motion moves termination. Councilor Coons.
Second it.
And I'll call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Councilor Davis, you're gonna have to practice. You're gonna have to practice.
Yes, they snuck in on me. Okay.
That's right. All right. Well, thank you very much. Have a good evening.
You too. Have a good night, everyone.
Yeah.
Good night,
Bye-bye.
everyone.
Good night, all.